Hey everyone! I'm going to do a little bit of a different video today. I'm actually going to be doing like more of a sit down video and explaining a little bit about genetics, because whenever I go to reptile shows, I always get people coming up and they want to start breeding, and one of the snakes we sell the most of and produce the most of is ball pythons, and those are particularly some of my favorite to breed. But a lot of people get lost on breeding and genetics because there's so many ball python genetics. So I want to sit down and break down a few ball python genetics with you. It hopefully gives you a little bit better understanding of breeding and where to start. Please don't mind my sunburn. I went to the pool on Sunday and I ran out of sunscreen, and I am very Irish. I got my DNA test and I'm like over 60% Irish, so that explains my very fair skin. And if you look, I have a circle right in the middle because I had my necklace on while I was outside and it left a circle. Cool. But yeah, I forgot we ran out of sunscreen. I didn't have any, so I just was like, okay, I'll stay in the shade while my Irish pale skin still in the shade got super burnt. And my boyfriend, nothing happened to him. He got a little bit darker, but that was it. But let's jump right into this. I have a whiteboard here. I'm gonna be kind of explaining it in like math terms. A whiteboard here. If you can hear a dog barking in the background, it's my dad's dog Cookie. She is a miniature dachshund and she absolutely hates our Ackie monitors, even when they just sit there and do nothing. But I have a whiteboard here and I'm going to kind of explain the best way I know how. Now you can use a Punnett square. Personally, growing up, I learned a lot about genetics before like a lot of my peers, and before I even learned it in school, middle school, high school. So I don't really understand the Punnett square, but I know it's something where you take big P's, little m's, and I think it's something like that. I'm not 100% sure. I don't use the Punnett square method. If you prefer to use that or want to use that, go ahead. If that's something you think you'd be interested in, I think there's other people on here that have used or explained it using the Punnett square method, but it's just something that personally I am not very good at. And funny story, actually, when I was in high school, I took vet class, and we learned about genetics. And my dad came into the Great American Teach-In every year and taught about genetics and having a business and things like that. But yeah, my dad came in every year, so the vet teacher knew my dad knew I knew about genetics, so she would actually ask me to explain it in a way maybe they could better understand my peers. So she knew I knew about genetics, and I was not her favorite student, I don't think. But I had to go put the dog up so she would stop barking. Hopefully she stops. But we had to take a genetics like kind of test, and it wasn't like one of like the state run tests or anything like that. It was kind of just like a regular class test, and it was about genetics and doing the Punnett squares. Well, I don't know how to do the Punnett squares. I can just read the question, read the genetics, and do it in my head and know the answer. Well, I don't know if she thought I was cheating or what, because I didn't show my work, but she's like, well, you have to do the Punnett square. I'm like, I don't know how. And she's like, well, you have to show your work. I was like, I know, but I literally can't do the Punnett square because I can just read the question and put it down on paper. The Punnett square confuses me, so I'll have the right answer, but the equation for the Punnett square will probably be all wrong. But anyways, didn't pass that test. Even though I know everything, or not everything, but I know a lot about genetics, probably more than the average high schooler does. Yeah, I didn't pass that test. But I'm going to get into some basic ball python genetics. So whenever people start breeding, I always go over a list of really great, or really good genes to have, and personally, in my opinion, like staple genes such as Pastel, cinnamons, Mojaves, just any like really good staple dominant genes, because they're easy to understand, they're easy to work with, and they're really attractive. Doesn't everybody love telemarketers? Okay, so they're really good basic genetics to have and to keep. So everybody was asking me, okay, what happens if I braid a pastel to a normal to a cinnamon, a pastel to a cinnamon, things like that. I'm gonna show you on the whiteboard, but I kind of do it like equation style is how I think of it in my head. All right, so let's take pastel and braid it to a normal. You will get half pastels, and that's my and sign, half normals, or 50% pastels, 50% normals. So this is what's known as a co-dominant gene, not just a dominant gene, because that basically co-dominant means you can make a super form of it. So what happens when you braid a pastel x pastel? You will get 50% or half pastels, and then you will get 25% normals and 25% SP super pastel. So when you braid pastel to pastel, it makes a super form of itself, which is typically lighter in color, has a wider head, and is overall just a prettier snake in general. Now, the great thing about having supers is breeding purposes. Not only looks, but breeding purposes. So say you have a male super pastel and you breed it to a female normal. What do you think you get? You get all super pastels, or I'm sorry, all pastels. So you will get 100% pastels, no normals at all. So that's the great thing about having a co-dominant gene, the pastels, is that you can make super forms of them, and when you take those super forms and even braid it to just a normal, you get no normals. So what's really great is when you're breeding and say you have like a 5 gene male, like a 4 gene female, it can be kind of hard to tell, you know, 9 gene snakes. But one of the great things is when you have a super form in there, whether, you know, it's super pastel or super yellow belly, which is the ivory, or super fire, or the blue-eyed leucistics, which are super mojaves, super lessers, or lesser crossed with mojaves, is that it kind of takes the guessing game away, because you'll at least know everything in the clutch at minimum is that baseline of the super form. So if I take this pastel and braid, or super pastel, and braid something that has a lot of genes, and I'm kind of sitting there guessing like, okay, what is in here, I at least know 100% everything in there is going to be a pastel because one of the parents was a super pastel. So this is codominant gene, so this goes for things like pastels, cinnamons, what else? Mojaves, lessers, and with mojaves and lessers, they make the blue-eyed leucistics. Same thing with bamboos. So the bamboo, mojave, lesser, and I think the Russos, and there might be some other ones, are all what's called in the bell line blue-eyed leucistic. So that means you can breed bamboo to bamboo and make blue-eyed lucies, mojave to mojave, lesser to lesser, and I believe Russo to Russo. Or you can actually intercross any of these and still get blue-eyed leucistic. So you can breed a bamboo to mojave and get a blue-eyed leucistic, a lesser to a bamboo and still get leucistics, things like that. So all of these are what's called, or what's in the blue-eyed leucistic complex, that you can also make super forms of. That's kind of getting into another topic, but still you can make super forms of any of these, which are the blue-eyed leucistics. It's just interchangeable as with pastel. You can't make super pastels by braiding it to a yellow belly and things like that. You have to braid it to another pastel in order to get pastels, but all of these and probably more are within. Okay, now that we've gone over the codominant traits, we can start going over the simple dominant traits. I also call it, I think, simple genetics, simple, I don't remember. They're just dominant. They're not codominant, so it's going to be a little bit different. Still super easy to work with a lot of these genes. So I'll go ahead and I'll show you. So one gene that is just a dominant, there's no super form of it, is the spider gene. So that's spider, champagne, what else is there? There's so many genetics in ball pythons, it's so hard to like think of any. Spider, champagne, I don't know right now. Look it up. So take a spider and cross it with a normal. And this is all mathematically. This is not a guaranteed 100%. If you get 10 eggs and breed a spider to a normal, it's going to be 100% calculated right. It's just chances. But mathematically, this is what it should be, but it doesn't always come out what it should be. So if we take a simple dominant gene and breed it to a normal, we will get half spiders and half normals. Now there is no super form of it, so you never breed spider to spider, also never breed spider to champagne. Those are lethal genes. So you can't breed spider to spider, and you can't do spider champagne either. Don't do those are lethal. But yeah, so you can't do spider to spider in this form because you'll either get bad eggs or the eggs will be kind of, they might go for a little bit and then die because it's a lethal gene. It's kind of like with the, what are those crested geckos? The leucistic crested geckos? I'm not a crested person. Oh, lily whites. You can't breed two lily whites together because it's a lethal gene. So that is basically just simple genetic, or simple dominance. Okay, let's get into recessive genes. So recessive genes are super popular. To name some: clown, pied, albinos. Probably three most popular recessive genes that there are and most affordable. Some other ones: desert ghost, things just like regular ghost, hypo, orange ghost, those are all the same thing. What are some other ones? Oh, xanthic, so the VP lines, TSK, those are all recessive genes. So let's get into a calculation of recessive. So let's use pied. Pied's probably the most popular recessive gene, at least in my opinion it is. So let's go with a visual pied. There's going to be a little bit more, this one's going to be a little bit more in depth. So let's go with a visual pied male. And now we're going to cross it to a just normal female. No hets, no nothing. So breed it to a female normal, right? Well, when you breed the pied with a normal, since the normal does not carry any hets for pied, you are going to get 100% normals. But they are going to carry the pied gene. So they're going to be het for pied. And what het means is short for heterozygous. It carries the gene, but it does not express the gene. So they'll be all normals, but they will carry that gene. You just won't be able to see it for the pied. Now, what do you do once you get a het pied? Well, let's take, again, the visual pied male and breed it to the normal het pied. Okay, so when you're carrying, or when your normal is carrying this pied gene and you breed it to the pied, it's going to make, sorry, I think my camera just got off. But when you breed pied to a normal het pied, you are going to get 50% pieds and 50% normals that are now het pied. So You will produce some visuals, but you're also, again, going to produce those normal het pieds because you do have the normal still in there. Now let's look at when you do visual to visual in recessive. So let's take a pied. Pied is also short for piebald. Pied, and braid it to another pied. Well, since you have two visuals and neither of them are het, they're just visual pieds, you're going to get 100% pied. That's the easiest, best way a lot of people like to do it. Of course, depends on you, what you want to go. This is usually the most costly route. Doing a pied to a normal is going to be one of the cheaper options. A pied to a normal het pied. And another one we're going to go into is het to het. Alright, now, so let's take a normal het pied. I'm just going to abbreviate here for het to het, and braid it to another normal het pied. So when you braid normal het pied to normal het pied, you can produce visuals. It's just going to be a smaller amount. So only about 25% will come out visual pieds. Percent will come out normal het pieds. And then the last 25% will just come out normals. But here's where you run into an issue when you braid normal het to normal het, is you will get normal hets and you also get normals, but they look the exact same. How do you tell normal het pied to just a normal? You can't. Now pieds are known for having visual markers, but still it's not 100% guaranteed. So usually when people breed het to het and you get your pieds and then you get your normal hets and your normals, people will just sell them as possible hets because, I mean, you know, a certain percentage are going to be hets, a certain percentage are not, so it's just better to sell them as possible hets than to sell them as 100% hets because there is no guarantee. What if you accidentally think that this normal is really pretty and mark it as a het pied, and then somebody breeds it to a visual and they get no visuals, no visual pieds, because again, when you braid pied to het, you will get visuals. So it's just better to mark it as possible het instead of 100% het, because like I said, you just won't know. But this is recessive jeans, and it's pretty straightforward. And there is one more thing that I'm going to get into. I'm going to get into braiding a recessive to dominant and codominant jeans. So you will get 50% or half cinnamons het for albino, and they will be 100% because this one was a visual. And you will also get 50% or half normals het albino. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Again, visual means you will, if one of them is a visual recessive, all the babies, and it's not going to another visual, all the babies will come out 100% het. Pretty straightforward. Now let's go into something that's not codominant. It's going to be pretty much the same thing. Let's take a clown and braid it to an inchy. You'll get 50% or half inchies het clown and 50% or half normals het clown. It's basically the same thing. One thing I do want to touch on, cinnamon is a codominant gene and you can produce a super form of it, but you have to be very careful when breeding it because it is known for creating kinks and health issues. So that's why you don't really see them a whole lot. A lot of people don't breed for it because they don't want to deal with the kinking issues. And duck billing is kind of like where their mouth is a little bit deformed and it kind of like flares up. But this is recessive to dominant. So I think that's pretty much it. I'm sorry I had to stop and start so much because my dad's dog just had to keep barking, and I had to go check the mail, and telemarketers just kept calling me. As soon as it gets like 9:30, they're just like on your butt about your car's extended warranty, or telling me that I have a student loan, and I'm just like, I'm a community college dropout. I took 2 semesters at community college. I paid out of pocket for. I don't have a loan now. But Cookie, hush. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'm better at explaining it in person. I know I did have some people ask me to make a video trying to explain it, so I did it the best way possible that I could understand. So I hope it was help to you. Another really great tool to use is a morph calculator. Morph Market has one and World of Ball Python has one. I personally like World of Ball Pythons more, but you can definitely use the Morph Market one. Basically what you do is you go in there and it will say parent 1, parent 2, or mother, father, or sire and dam, and you put what the gene of each one is, and it will on World of Ball Pythons actually give you the percentages and things like that, and actually show you an example of what the babies will look like. In, I believe, Morph Market, it just gives you the calculations. But I hope you enjoyed this. I'm still learning about corn snakes. There's a lot of corn snakes genetics that I have to learn about. I'm learning about boas currently. I think we actually have all 4 of our females gravid this year, which is super exciting. So that's going to be fun because I have all the genetics of the parents written down. This is my first year producing some Central Americans and all, so I'm going to have fun figuring out those genetics and all. It's not too hard. It's pretty similar to ball pythons from my understanding as far as, you know, dominant, recessive, and things go. Oh, excuse me. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and this was able to help you a little bit. If not, I'm sorry. But I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Thanks, bye.